Hello, here we are. Going to be talking to you guys about some new Q posts. It hasn't posted for 5 days, and really get into how the deep state criminals are in deep trouble. Really giving you a little bit more of a tutorial on CueAnon.pub, showing you where those new sites are. Maybe talking a little bit about the new book that Jerome Corsi just gave. But let's flip over and get into this, right? So I'm going to get out to the PowerPoint real quick, and here it is. Again, new Q post, deep state criminals in deep trouble. We're going to do a tutorial on CueAnon.pub. That's kind of the new site. I know it's moved around quite a bit of times. It's real important for anybody who wants to really understand the truth and not just swallow the blue pill of Mockingbird media where they're telling you lies, and you really want to open up. You need to understand what CueAnon.pub is. So we'll get into these things right now. So let's move on. So here we go. We're going to look at these new Q posts as the first thing in this. And then the second thing we're going to get into is the censorship and Mockingbird media, and talk about how they're doing that on Reddit now. They already had done it on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. And then we'll get into really the deep state news, some of the sealed indictment updates, the new IG report from the Inspector General, the new Department of Homeland Security report, and some things that we are learning about Mueller in more detail. So let's look over at some of these new Q posts. So if you look at this, you need to go to CueAnon.pub, CueAnon.pub. Pretty easy. I'm going to flip back to here just so you kind of get there if you guys want to follow along. Again, it is going to be CueAnon.pub. So right here, CueAnon.pub, right? So if you're there with me, you'll see that there's been 5 or 6 posts since March 10th. Actually, a little bit more than that. First thing he says is boom, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for everybody with a lot of O's, so it's boom. And if we think about the first boom, most people agree that he's probably talking about North Korea. How in the heck could North Korea all of a sudden be wanting to denuclearize and wanting to have a U.S. embassy? And so how did that all happen? And we're going to really dig into that a little bit here. If you look at the next post that he did for 946 here, right? Oops, kind of jumping around there. We'll get it there. 946, you'll see right up here. He sees 3 booms. Now he talks about earlier 4 booms coming, right? So basically what he's saying is 3 are really close. One's probably North Korea, then this other one has 2 big OOMs. So see how there's probably some meaning to that. And then another boom is a third one, right? So big things are about ready to happen is what Q's telling us. And he's talked about this in the last post too, is Iran is next. RT days after, RT Kenya, no coincidence, track, important, MB, boom, Q. If you look at this, this is most likely talking about how the same thing, the surprise that happened with North Korea is going to happen with Iran, right? And it's probably talking a lot about the Iran deal that the previous administration did that wasn't real popular, right? Where we gave them billions of dollars. And likely the uranium one ended up there through to North Korea. But a whole other story. And then Kenya has to do potentially with Barack Obama's birth certificate, etc. So I'm not sure if that's what it's attending to. I imagine that is. It says track, it's important. MB is Muslim Brotherhood, because there's a lot of stuff going on there with Huma Abedin and the relation into maybe even Kenya as well as Pakistan with the Awan brothers, etc. And so again, all this is going to be a boom. This is the big O's, so I'm assuming this is the second boom that's going to be, he's predicting that's going to come, right? Judy, nice to see you. Mike H, nice. I'm ready as well. So if you look at this, here we are. So now here's another one at 945. Now there's a lot of O's, which kind of makes it saying, hey, it's not going to be long until the third one comes, I think is what he's basically telling us. And I think that might have to do with something around all the censorship that's happening. It's amazing how much censorship is happening of conservatives and libertarians. Anybody that doesn't agree with the narrative of the mainstream media and the people trying to take down Trump, you are being censored off the internet completely now on all the major platforms. We'll talk about that in a bit. But here he says extreme efforts to kill login devices. So it's not just the platforms, but literally devices. Extreme efforts to censor. Extreme efforts. Dead cat bounce. Now the dead cat bounce is interesting. That's a term from Wall Street where some stock that just dies is going to come down, hit its rock bottom, and it's going to bounce up. right? So you're going to have a bounce up, but it's still dead and it's going to fall again, right? So a lot of people will try to predict that and make money on the upswing and the downswing at the end. So anyway, that's an interesting comment. I'll look over here for a second, and you'll at least, I think I have a thing on this dead cat bounce talking about in finance. A dead cat bounce is a small, brief recovery in the price of declining stock, derived from the idea that even a dead cat will bounce if it falls from a greater height, right? So that's kind of where that comes from. Now, what exactly, this is the second or third time I think Q's talked about this. Exactly what he's saying, we're not sure. But if you guys know that, let me know. MB is definitely Muslim Brotherhood. I believe this is about Obama trying to use that when he's charged. Interesting. Okay, I like it, Judy. So that's what I love about the live chat, where we can kind of talk and decode this a little bit together. And he talks about bring the rain. I think that has to do with the Internet Bill of Rights. And let me know if you think it's something different, but really that we need to bring the rain and really making sure that we're lawsuits against. I know there's lawsuits going in, class action lawsuits. No thing, but like Isaac Green of the anti-schools got a lawsuit going. You've got it's at Paragon University that does those great YouTube videos. It's been banned from YouTube. There's a lot of people now coming against YouTube and class action lawsuits, as well as this Internet Bill of Rights. We need to support that. Go sign the Internet Bill of Rights, please. Let's make sure we're keeping these people from our First Amendment rights on all platforms. Right now, if you look at the next one, 949, I'm going to come over here. This is kind of getting exciting, guys, if you see what's happening. Right there it is. So this is an Anon. Somebody else says, hey, Q team, trust Sessions still? Nah. Why is Fox saying McCabe will stake, right? So here's a question, and Q actually answers this. He says, trust the plan, full control. So basically saying Sessions is in full control. And I was going to show you this little deal on Sessions. Is this right? Is he really the silent executioner? Is he? There's 18,000, I think 506 or something sealed indictments right now in the latest count. I'll show you that in a second. So this talks about 3 executive orders. I'm not sure what that's talking about, but the storm is here. Hashtag the storm is here. Hashtag Pedogate, FISA-gate, right? Obamagate, Uranium One, Clinton Foundation. And we the people trust Sessions, trust POTUS, trust the plan, QAnon. Can you handle the truth, right? So this is I thought this was a great meme here, or device. I think I found it on Twitter, actually. So could this be happening? That's what he's saying. He's saying trust the plan, full control. So it appears that, yes, we're in full control. Rain, boom, boom, boom. Maybe lightning. Maybe that's exactly right, Connie. Marty was in Kenya. Cool. So if you look at this now and come back into the Central Intelligence Agency here, here's just a Wikipedia shot of Central Intelligence Agency. I imagine that came from, I don't know if that was Q or an Anon. And there's another one on the U.S. Department of State. But you can see Q replied to this and says, well, I know this is other Anon replied to this. So this was Anon's, talking about basically the CIA and Rex Tillerson as the Department of State, right, as the Secretary of State there. And it basically, this Anon says, Pompeo, who's the old CIA guy that was he was basically a businessman. He was then but then he was a representative in Kansas. And then he took over the CIA role, right, over the last year or so. Now he's being moved into the Secretary of State as Tillerson goes out. So people are going, is the CIA coming into the state? No, this guy was not part of the CIA. He just took it over, learned, cleaned it up. And that's what I told my son earlier today. And so then, interesting, this other Anon says, Pompeo is Trump's guy. As head of CIA, gather intel on all the shady CIA stuff we've done both here and overseas, because obviously we're all over the place, right? We're all over Australia. We control North Korea. The CIA is a rogue entity that's gone way beyond its original means, right? So just like the Mockingbird media, how they completely control the Mockingbird media, and they get 4 a.m. talking points. That just drives me crazy, that we have to hear from the Mockingbird media the same narrative and talking points from every network and every publication and every newspaper. It's just ridiculous, right? We can't get the truth. That's what we talk about being the blue pill. But anyway, he says now he's going to move to the State Department to use that intel to free the world from the CIA crap, basically, right? And Q literally replied to that saying, trust Kansas. He's talking about Pompeo, Trust Kansas. Now that's pretty cool, right? So now we can really understand that there's not only is Q and Trump telling us basically that we can trust Pompeo and we can trust Sessions. So they're playing a game here, which I'll talk about in a second here. And then I think there was a couple more here. I think it's the last one was 946. Let me go to 946 here and look at this. He talked about March Madness, not meaning basketball, meaning the storm. The March Madness storm is here, right? Public will soon know. Now that we'll know soon. Now that will be really good for a lot of us, right? Because we know there's a lot of stuff going behind the scenes. A lot of people don't believe us. But if you're new here and just looking at this now, I'm going to teach you a little bit how to use QAnon on some of these terms, okay? So I just kind of went through the top part of QAnon by going to QAnon.hub, just looking at the recent ones. But there's a better way, I think, of researching topics by filtering and then searching. So that's what I'm going to show you next real quick on a couple of topics. So we just went into, right now, the Q posts of booms, right? And we kind of went through all that. I'm going to talk about a little bit, we just talked about a little bit of Iran and Kenya, the Muslim Brotherhood, and then Pompeo and North Korea, right? So let's get into these different topics. And you can search on these. So I just want to show you, if I go back to the Q post and I go to the upper left side, there's a filter. So he says type to filter right here. And you can type anything, like you can type boom in there, for instance. And then you hit Control F again and you type boom again. And then I love to go backwards from that. Now, I've done something wrong because it gave me 0 of them, and I know there's a lot of booms, so let me make sure I got that right. I don't know if I put zeros in there or what it is doing right now for me. Silly thing. You might have a space in there or something. B-O-O-M. There's a 9, so it's filtered it to 9, right? Now I can hit the Control F and search on that same term, boom, and then it highlights them for me. And then see here I have 13 matches. If I go backwards, it's going to show me the first time he said boom. And he's talking about the Clinton Foundation boom shock buy. This was way back in January, right? And then we can go through each one of these. I'm going to shrink it down so I can see them easier. But you can see here's one in March 3rd that he talks about boom at the end. And this time he was talking about a class lock, all the censorship. So this was pretty recent, right? Basically saying that we're going to basically take down as one of the booms all the censorship that's happening. And this is another boom here on March 3rd. You can see here's the 4 booms with spaces. There's a lot of speculation on what that is. And then you see here, if we go back to a few more, I'm going to get to the most recent ones now that we just reviewed, right? Which was obviously the going backwards here real quick. See, there's the boom that was on March 15th, right? Talking about RT days after, RT in Kenya, boom. That's another big boom coming. So it shows you how you can research these different terms. Obviously, you can do the same thing with North Korea, which is incredibly interesting, right? Let's talk about North Korea for a second. This is amazing if you really want to understand what's going on and what. And I like to go space NK space, go Control F and space NK space. Again, it can show you there's 16 posts of all those 945 Q posts. 16 of them have NK in there, and I have 26 matches. So I can go back. The first time he talked about North Korea was likely November 1st. Some things must remain declassified and to the very end. And he actually talks about North Korea as not being run by Kim Jong-un. He's saying it's an actor in a play. Who's the director? And later we find out it's the CIA. They call them the clowns here. So the CIA is completely anti-Trump, the rogue elements of the CIA. They're completely out of control worldwide. They literally have taken over the nuclear weapons they had at one point in time of North Korea. And so it's really scary stuff when you really start getting into this. And so you can go back through here and research North Korea and everything he says from the original post. But I want to get to some of the new ones, right? Because here we talked about, did they actually get the uranium from Uranium One, the whole scandal where we gave 25% of our uranium to Russia, it went through Canada, then potentially through Iran into North Korea. Crazy stuff was happening that we're now just starting to uncover. It even talks about the North Korea strategic intel from Iran. So we know that he's giving us these crumbs to bake to figure out what was going on. Most people have figured out that the CIA has secret operatives. They were controlling Kim completely. But what's happened lately? Here we now are in November, so I'm going to keep going back to the back key to where I can continue to go up to get to some more recent posts. Here I am in December. How did they suddenly get nuclear weapons exactly once the deep state lost power? Well, because they were the ones giving it to them, right? Scary stuff to think about what's happened here if you look at the 16-year plan to destroy America. I'm not going to get into that. I'm trying to get you to research this stuff for yourself. But let's get to the most recent post here, and I'm going to go all the way back up to now because he talks about North Korea again. And this is crazy. An Anon, and this is a post right here, and we have to go to see what this Anon was saying. And he basically was saying, okay, here we go, Anons. Wow, huge. North Korea will meet with 46, talking about Trump, mega, make America great again. If I go back here, he basically replied to that Anon and said he already did. He just told us blunt right there is that Trump already met with Kim and already did a deal. Think back to the North Korea pictures. Everything has meaning. This will break the MSM. So MSM has been pounding Trump. That's how horrible he is. And now all of a sudden, all his rhetoric and all these deals he's done. So turns out he probably met with him in China way back in November, did a deal. That is why, and if you look through some of these things, it talks about his, for instance, the Olympics. Look at the sister. You can go back and look at the sister, and you can actually see that most likely Pence met with the sister. We know that she was sitting by him, right? So here's Kim Jong-un's sister who was at the Olympics. They all through the media, right? And it talked about North Korea here. And basically what CueAnon is saying here, ask yourself, why are they participating in the Olympic Games? Why did they team up with South Korea? And why were they so close to Pence? So supposedly another part of the deal being restructured or whatever, finalized with the sister of Kim Jong-un, all behind the scenes. And then he tells us some amazing things later that the strings have been cut between the CIA and the North Korea. And that's why the deal is being announced now. Finally, they got CIA out of there. Now, how that all happened, I'm sure we'll find out in later history books. But that is cool stuff that you can learn now, right? Now, let's go just hit a couple more things. That was North Korea. Great things going there. Strings are cut. Deal being made. Boom. The first boom, right? And then the clowns are out. And then the Olympics, right? Got to spell that right. But the Olympics was where some of the, I think in China in November when he was in his Asia trip is when he met and did the deal. And then likely some finalization with Pence. And then it was announced after the clowns were out. The CIA was out of the deal. So there's great things going on. And I have Mike asking the question, why would Clinton have Huma print out top secret info and sell Pakistan? Trump told Pakistan to kick rocks for no more money tied to Awan brothers. Good question. I mean, but what we do know is that Huma is highly tied to the Muslim Brotherhood and is obviously working as part of the deep state. The Awan brothers were part of the deep state with Pakistan, so which is also deeply embedded in with Muslim Brotherhood. So I think a lot of that's going to be coming out. I'm not sure if that's also related to the Kenya and what he talked about there as well. But let's look a little bit. There's a lot of stuff coming on Iran. Iran's going to be, it looks like the next boom, I'm thinking. You guys might have some other interpretations. Let me know. Kenya and Muslim Brotherhood is interesting. Obviously, Kenya has heavily to do with Obama and his background. He's admitted to being raised there. And many people think he was born there. We've seen his a lot of things behind the scenes protecting the Muslim Brotherhood from the Obama administration, not just Huma. And obviously with the Wan brother stuff, with Debbie Wasserman Schultz being in and giving them jobs and access to all this information, basically giving Pakistan access to it. Crazy stuff. So another thing we wanted to talk about is this Pompeo. That we just saw that in the new Q post, that is going to be basically Pompeo who went and learned what the CIA was doing with being the head of the CIA last year plus. Again, a former businessman, former Kansas City, what do you call it? I think he was a Republican representative. and House representative. And now he's after a year and a half, he's now going into as a role of the State Department so he can actually help get the CIA out of other places. They're heavily embedded in Australia. They're heavily embedded in Europe. And they're basically manipulating and trying to take down Trump across the world. So this is part of Trump's counterattack, I believe. And then the whole thing about Still was interesting. I wanted to show you that just in a quick tutorial about how you can go research this stuff. There's different topics like STEEL. And then you can actually go into Control F, hit Still again. It'll highlight them for you to make it easier. There's 3 matches here. This first one is, why is Still so important? Crazy enough, obviously that's your military, it's your infrastructure. It's, if you're ever at war and you can't get Still, you're in trouble, right? And now we've completely outsourced our Still. We're getting it from enemies, really Russia and China. And so what's even scarier, look at what he says. Q says, what if Still used for military grade projects was made inferior by our enemies as a method to weaken? And there's research coming out. He tells us a lot more about these deals. And I'll show you, he even points us to some literal companies that were actually, let's see if I can find it real quick. I think it was right here. I got that. These are all the other fun stuff I'm going to talk to you guys about. But basically, some Still companies that were in Russia, right? Looks like I didn't have that queued up properly for you guys. But you'll see that it's crazy to think about this, that our country could sell us out this much. But bottom line is that our Still is a problem, and us producing itself will be important. Yeah, I believe right, Judy, that's going to be coming back to the USA. RT is real time. I like it, Valerie. So let me go look at that RT one more time. RT. Let's go research that. So again, my main objective is not to teach you guys what Q is saying but as much as teaching you how to use it and search it for yourself. This is a great awakening. It's your mind, not mine, and I want you to be able to go research this yourself. And so we look at RT. It says there's 25 RTs here. I can go space RT space here to see it's giving me, and it'll highlight them for me there if I do it right. RT. And see, I got 8 matches. I can go back. The first time was kind of a code. I can go back here and see monitor and analyze in real time. I think you're exactly right. That's what they're talking about with RT. All absorbed in real time, December 19th. Talking here about conspiracy theories and the big threat to the MSM. All absorbed in RT, so in real time. So let's go do that in light of the newest post, because that'll probably give us better insight. So the newest post here on March 15th was real-time days after, real-time Kenya. That'll be interesting. I'm not sure if anybody thinks and knows what that says. Connie saying Russia owns a Still company in Oregon. Sorry, I forgot the name. I think it started with an A. Yeah, I had it queued up here. It must have deleted it in another browser. Bottom line is that there's a Russian company that was selling us inferior Still, maybe even from China, inferior Still. Could that have something to do with bridges collapsing? I don't know. But it's just really scary that we were being sold out, and so we couldn't even fight. So our Still coming back is also going to help our labor participation rate, I really believe, which is really low in some of those Still cities. So I think that will help a lot. Now, let's look at a couple of quick more things on, if I go back to the PowerPoint, we'll see, get into the second point. Look at the deep state news I'm going to get here. See, I had a second point first I wanted to get to, which was Mockingbird censorship. So let's look at the censorship. If you look at that, it is really crazy. Did you know that probably one of the most important boards of people talking about the calm before the storm was just shut down by Reddit, right? Just shut down completely with a bunch of trolls coming on there and acting like they're, obviously trolls. Just trying. So this is just like people getting kicked off YouTube and Twitter and Facebook in droves for saying anything about the kids that came out of the school. I can't even use the right words, or all get banned, right? But anyway, if you said anything that was a gun control issue that was for the NRA, you're a vicious human being and you're going to be banned. And now, if you're talking about Q, people are being banned. So be careful when you're doing this. And I may not be here long, so I'll let you guys know where I end up being. But hey, just as a reminder, like, share, subscribe. That's the only way we are able to get the word out, is share these videos, right? like and subscribe so I can keep in touch with you and let you guys know if I get kicked off of YouTube. We'll see what happens there. So there's some other questions coming in, wondering why Q summarizes. Surmises on the nerve agent used in Britain. Did the Russians go directly to pay someone to do, or did someone else, like our deep state? Yeah, that's going to be real interesting, because I really believe there's obviously deep state criminals in every country, and now the ones I'm most worried about are the globalists that have teamed together to basically take down the United States to distribute the wealth and basically then eliminate 7/8 of the population so that they can go underground during a nuclear war. Scary stuff if you go look at the 16-year plan. Look at it here. Research Q on the 16-year plan, and you'll see some of that. So let me move on to a couple of quick things. So that this is the censorship that's going on. Obviously, guys, Gab being not even available on your phones. You can't even get it on your Android device or your iOS device, because they're censoring us. Apple's censoring us, so the technology companies are censored. And again, I showed you that before in previous videos, but those of you that's the first time here, I just want to show you this. If you just top Twitter here and basically take these 900 messages, what does Q say about Twitter, right? And you can click here and say Twitter again on the search, so it actually finds it for you. You'll see there's 49 matches of Twitter, and a lot of it because he is actually communicating with people on that with his platform. But I wanted to show you the censorship part of that, right? So I'm going to go to one that actually talks about, here it is. Google, Facebook, Twitter are regulated. That's what we're hoping is going to happen. And he talks about the shareholders, right? And that we can't trust MSM, Facebook, Google, Twitter, YouTube. It's very important. I've talked about this a lot, guys. If you're taking the blue pill, if you are listening to MSM, if you're listening to the mainstream media and Washington Post and New York Times and MSNBC and CNN and CBS and ABC and all the magazines like half them Rolling Stone magazines, that they're blue pilling you. They have a same 4 a.m. narratives. You're going to be completely blind. You need to take the red pill by researching yourself. This is one of the best areas to do it, is QAnon. You really understand what's happening. Okay? Now, that is the censorship. Let me go to the last point we'll cover here real quick is some deep state news. We've talked about the updates of the sealed indictments, the IG report that's coming out, the DHC report, and Mueller. We'll quickly go through this stuff, right? So one part I was going to show you is, look at this. Here is a historian, Now Ferguson, midterm is going to be much worse than GOP can imagine because the tech giants are targeting of conservatives. What's that basically saying is a censorship. It's back to we need the Internet Bill of Rights. So they have a strategy. The deep state has a strategy. We can't take down Trump through everything they've been doing. The Russian narrative is dying. So now they have to do impeachment. The only way they get impeachment, they have to go they have to take control of the House and the Senate, right? So now they have to do that by keeping conservatives off YouTube, off Facebook, off Twitter, and off even Reddit, right? So you can't even have any platform to communicate on. That's the new strategy that's actually happening, right? Now, a lot of those people that are still on Reddit have moved to the Great Awakening site. So if you go to reddit.com/r Great Awakening, or go to download the app, you can get Reddit on there. But it's a liberal platform. I guess liberal is a bad word. It's not left versus right. It's a platform of deep state that is going to try to take us down. There's a lot of people talking. Sorry, I haven't been able to get to it. Somebody's talking about petitions. So there's Mike, agree Dory. So they're talking about, see what Dory said. I don't see what Dory said. Dottie. Maybe Sessions and Trump are playing a trick, laying the trap. I think exactly that's what's happening. And I think I showed you that picture before where the silent executioner. I really believe that's what's happening, guys. Yeah, you see that this trick's happening where they're acting like he's not very good. This is a very capable senator that was kicking butt in his state, right? And he was known for being a hard prosecutor, etc. Now he takes this job and Trump's complaining about him and he's being defensive and soft. But it's all a game, just like I think the Mueller part's a game. If you look back at, let's go back to here, and I'm going to just skip over and go to the Mueller subject. Some people stopped listening to me when I started talking about this before, but guys, it's true. Look at Mueller. I really think he's playing a game too. Mueller. And you can see it's going to bring us to, once I spell that right, 6 different entries. I can type it here so I can find it even, again, Control F, then you search, then you see 10 matches. So I go backwards, and it shows what is Mueller's background. I'm going to try to get this out of the way so you can see it, my face out of the way. What is Mueller's background? Military? Yes, it is. So he's a military guy. Who's Trump surrounded himself with? The military. Who's Trump taken down the deep state with? The NSA and military intelligence and the military teaming with the administration to take down the deep state. So he's basically talking about Mueller's military. They met with him, even though, why did Mueller meet with POTUS one day prior to the FBI announcement if Mueller could not be offered director due to the previous term limits rule? This is way back in November. So Mueller met with Trump when he couldn't even be the FBI director because he'd already been it for 12 years, right? So here is Mueller basically probably did a deal with Trump there to take down the deep state, probably showed him some of the stuff that he did wrong, most likely with Uranium One, et cetera, that's coming to light, and realize that, it's time for me to turn over a better leaf. So this is the main thing I want you guys to get is how you can research this and come to your own conclusions, right? Yeah, we don't know who Q is either. But he said, could it be Flynn or Mueller? Now, that would be really interesting. I hadn't even thought about that. Who said that? That was Joel. That would be really amazing. I always thought it was going to be Trump himself, maybe, or, somebody, most of the people I follow, like Corsi, basically thinks it's military intelligence, somebody from military intelligence, right? But boy, that would be awesome if it was Mueller. This is going to be the biggest thing in history, right? So I think we not only have the silent executioner being Sessions, I think we also have Mueller being the inside, and he talks about the animal. That you remember that post about that animal? What's the best way to catch a wild animal? And let's see if we can find that right now. And to give me another indicator, another indicator that the animal is potentially Mueller in this case. How do you capture a very dangerous animal? Right? You want to be in their pack. It's really hard to do outside, right? And so if you can get somebody within the deep state like Mueller on your side and you send him in the pack, right? What's the best way to attack? What is the one force necessary to retain control, right? This would be the attacking animal inside. How crazy would that be? So he said it again right here. Do you attack in the front? Do you walk in through the front door? No, you have to be part of the pack to get that wild animal. So I think so anyway, that kind of gives you a good idea of how you can search out these things. Let's talk about a couple of these other last topics. I'm going to go to this area here. The deep state news, we kind of went over, I didn't go over all that yet. So let me go over a couple others. Here's another one. Look at this. So this is came out today, I believe. Former DNI James Clapper allegedly leaked to CNN, investigation revealed. I think it was just yesterday. Just think about that. Wow. So we have Clapper, who's complete deep state, and sold out and basically should be in jail for lying to us because he was actually, Snowden revealed, he said the NSA was not spying on us when they were. Clearly, he knew it. He lied to Congress, right? And now I think pretty soon he's got the statute of limitations of 5 years. But now we found him leaking. I think this is why they put it out. So the NSA and the military intelligence and the IG, the Inspector General, have so much information on all the deep state. It's a matter of how do you strategically take them down. And that is going to be interesting how this all happens. But obviously, if you watch Sean Hannity at all, one reason I mention that is because they have Sarah Carter, John Solomon, that are getting information, obviously, from those sources and are able to break to us. The part of the Great Awakening strategy is through Sean Hannity. He's got a relationship with the president. So if you want to really know what's going on in some of the mainstream media, that's one show I'd suggest watching, as well as looking at CueAnon and digging into these details, right? Now, let's look at this IG report as well as the Department of Homeland Security. These are going to be a couple of other booms, I think. Maybe together. I'm not sure if it's one boom or two booms, right? But that's being predicted to come out here in March. So here's something about this came out, I think, well, this was December 19th, but Inspector General Horowitz investigating, basically the FBI guy that had all the text messages with Lisa Page, right, for possible Hatch Act breaches. There's going to be this Inspector General report is going to be very comprehensive, hitting a lot of the leaking that happened as well, from what I'm hearing. So that'll be huge. And if you look back at Q in here, and you actually type Department of Homeland Security, you guys, I think I've shown this to you before. this has to do with voter fraud is going to be coming as well as part of this. This DHS, it actually did autocorrect on me, so I have to go DHS and hit the X there. That'll keep the DHS there. And then DHS here, DHS, it's going to show 5 matches. So I can see he's talking about the Department of Homeland Security real early back in December, but the one I wanted to show you was actually having to do with the voter fraud, and this is the key, 780. If you go look at 780, you're going to see all kinds of basically giving us information about what it's going to say about the fact that there was voter fraud, and they were supposed to release that in early as March something. So it says sometime in March likely this is going to come out. While the report only encompasses a sampling of 22 counties, it's going to basically show that even though it wasn't Russian agents, they basically, other parties on numerous occasions were successful in interfering with the presidential election of 2016 and Senate elections, 4 Senate elections, where several million illegal non-resident ballots, the irregularities were counted. Can you believe that, guys? So they're basically taking legal ballots and not counting them. Legal ballots were improperly tabulated, and they're actually counting illegal votes. So that's going to come out in this Department of Homeland Security. The Inspector General is going to be this comprehensive leaking and finding out all the corruption. I think that may have been where the report came to recommending to fire Andy McCabe before Sunday when he gets his pension. Several other reasons why they do that, but I think that's going to happen as well. Sorry, I'm not keeping up real good with the comments here. Watch Henry tonight. Seems he finally totally red-pilled Geraldo. Yeah, Geraldo's been coming along, right? So that's kind of exciting. That's what's happening there. So it looks like I'm probably missing Henry right now, but it's recorded so I can watch it. But anyway, guys, just wanted to quickly review some of this stuff. Oh, sealed indictments. Let me give you an update on that. On some of my past videos, I talked about 11,000, and I talked about 13,000. It's up to 18,000 now, and that's still, I think, back on the end of February. So who knows how many there really are now. But I'll put that in the bottom of my YouTube video here to show you the link to find the updated counts. 18,506, I think it was. So guys, that is awesome type of stuff that we have. So just in summary, again, gosh, these new Q posts came after 5 days. They're hard hitting, talking about the booms that are coming. The deep state criminals are in deep trouble. Be patient. There's a sting going on here between Mueller and Trump and the IG, as well as with Pompeo going now into there, as well as obviously with Sessions being the silent killer, right? I will show you one thing before I leave. I remembered I had it, was I actually had this list of you'll see, I'm going to try to blow this up so you can read. These are the sealed indictments. I think these are the time frames, kind of this was kind of like the November, and then this was December, and then this was like the January and February. So almost they're kind of crossed, but look at that, 4,000, 5,000, 4,000, another 49. That's not going down, it's actually going up, right? So 18,510 sealed indictments, when in 2009 they had a little over 1,000. Think about that. So this is only 1, 2, 3, 4 months. You have 18,000 when normally in a whole year you have 1,000, right? So if you times it by 3 and look at the difference there, it's 18 times 3 larger than normal. So you can't get away from the fact that something big's about ready to happen here. Again, in summary, guys, just great booms, Iran, Kenya, all this type of stuff. We have Mockingbird censorship, not only being fed crap from the mainstream media, now they're keeping anybody like me and others off the airs and off these different platforms. I'm probably just so new and only have 3,000 followers, so I haven't hit the radar yet. But the people that had 60,000 followers, 100,000 followers, I've been banned. They even took Dr. Corsi off for a while. And I think that was they were going to be in trouble with that. And then the deep state news that we just looked at, where we had Clapper being in trouble. We had McCabe likely being fired. We have, I think stuff's going to be coming out in Brennan. Basically, these deep state criminals are being exposed, which is the beautiful thing because of what the evil that they're about ready to do. But the sting is happening. The sting is going to happen. I want to finalize with my favorite part is about the Rubik's Cube, guys. Remember, the deep state. This is not left versus right, please. It's not left versus right. There's criminal elites on the right, and there's on the as much as on the left, right? Probably not as much, but both of them are. So do not make this a fight, because that's what the mainstream media and George Soros wants us to do. They're trying to bring us and separate us completely so that we'll fight. They're scared of this. They're scared of the great melting pot where every race and religion and sex and everybody that have different belief systems and colors, etc., are all coming together and working together in an economy that works well, where it awesomely works. And they instead want us to separate and fight about everything. That's what the race baiting is all about, and that's what all this gender equality things is trying to get us to fight versus working together. Because if they can actually keep us from working together, separate us, they can eventually take us down as we fight, as the deep state elite criminals take us over. Let's not let that happen. Quit listening to the mainstream media. Please quit listening to the mainstream media. Instead, take what they call the red pill, what Matrix talked about. Free yourself from the Matrix. Free from control of the mainstream media. And let's come together and actually learn together by studying QAnon, by studying different sources, by like, share, and subscribe to channels that where you're learning, right? With that, I'll call it quits, guys, and God bless you, and I'll talk to you another time.